Congratulations to Team USA. Well done at the Ryder Cup. We have a club build that I really want to talk to you about and some upcoming videos. Let's see what we got in store and what's in my drawers golf talk. Welcome to What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. Jim McCleary here, and we started What's in My Drawers because old club makers and club fitters are tremendous pack rats. And I'm no different. And that's what we talked about, and it turned into kind of an international showdown. So lots of questions about golf equipment, whether it be fittings, repairs, opinions, you name it, we talk about it. And we tend to sometimes get outside the box with barbecue, whiskey, and anything else that might be talked about. But it's become a great community, and that's what we really, really like talking about. Okay, so let's give a big shout out to Team USA on the Ryder Cup. All I saw was highlights the first couple of days, but I got to say that there was a tremendous amount of very, very good golf played, particularly on both sides. Now, of course, you can call up, when the winning team wins, you always want to look at their stuff. And, there were some really pretty good shots out there. Number one, Bryson basically hit a 417-yard drive and got real close to green. He seemed to be doing that all week. That's one. One of my faves was Jordan Spieth with that stupid wedge that went off the side of the mountain onto the green. That was another good one. Paul Casey, how about throwing one in the cup from, what was it, 160? I mean, there was some golf being played all over the place. And then I did get to watch most of Sunday and going both ways. I mean, yes, the U.S. took a lot of it, but basically what happened was a lot of fast starts and then everything evened out. Like Fleetwood and Spieth, you want to talk about back and forth. And even Jon Rahm, even though that he lost, he did not let it go until basically the final hole he was a couple down. So, yes, congratulations to the USA. They won in very tremendous fashion. That should scare the European squad quite a bit. However, it was good golf being played by all. So, and to get there, that's no small feat anyway, right? It's new to get on both teams. So I'm glad to see that they found a winning combination. And now it'll give something for the European team to shoot for. And it's not often, I even got to see the Rory where he let a curse word slide, shall we say, and that made him a little more human. So, and then he figured it out and apologized. So it was all good. So that's what we like. All right, so there it is. Again, something that went pretty good here are the McGolf divot tools. Okay, the McGolf divot tools. They're the Pitch Fix McGolf divot tools. They come with a removable ball marker with the magnet right there on the end. Right? They fold down just by pressing a button. They have a really neat. They come in green, gray, blue. Mrs. McGolf went with blue. Okay. And a red. So now the other part is it also has a pencil sharpener on the end. I thought that was the coolest feature of this thing. And we went through the last bit very, very quickly. If you want them, there they are. Let Mrs. McGolf know that you're interested, and she will take care of the purchase. The other part is Mrs. McGolf is on holiday. Now, I haven't looked to see if she's there yet, but she is she's down in Tennessee on a girls' trip, and she said she would get on. So we'll see. If she doesn't, we understand, but she wanted to say hi. So there we go. And because of that, my glass got a little bit more full. Okay, so the build. Well, no, let's go back. I shot a 79. 79, and it could have easily been a 77. Yeah, it's not like, oh, 72. No, 77. I had a couple of three putts, including on the last hole. It just circled out, was out there with the dad, and it shot 38-41. And I basically lost my mind on one hole, and that's what it cost me. But starting out, I've shown you this picture before. This is a hole on the back nine, and where you see the where I'm standing, that is where the blue tees are at, and it goes down into, that's partial fairway where you can see some of that. Well, on the front, this is what you saw. We got off early enough that the sun was coming up over. That's a ridge right there. So you hit off of something like this, and you've got where you're seeing right in front of you, and then you've got to you got to basically aim left to the sun right there in order to be in a good position. And in a good position you will be in too. It was, we were really throwing it around. All right. So it can be done, and I did it in 45-degree weather, so I'm feeling pretty good about myself on that one. Okay. A build. All right. I did a build. I did a Wilson build, a Wilson CB build, those guys, okay? This is rapidly becoming like my most favorite iron, all right? Why is it my most favorite iron? Well, look at this thing. It's got a traditional look. It's got a little bit of support and a Y shape, a little bit of weight onto the toe. And again, it's a player's iron, to be sure. There's very little offset, although there is slight amount. And it's a forged club, but it's a forgiving forged club. And the cavity in this thing is just big enough that maybe even an average guy might be able to play it. Okay. Now, what have I done? When I built these, I left the loft standard just to see what they would do for me. And then I bent them. I bent them a degree strong and this set went to Texas. And Mickey allowed me to hit a few. He says, oh, hit them. I wanted to hit a handful on at least 3 clubs, and one that I normally don't hit and the other ones I do, so I can see what I was doing. And so I wanted to kind of show you the results of that, but we'll start with the head first. Again, we did a 4 through a gap wedge. I just think that it's just the classiest look on an iron. And we put in, and hopefully you guys can see all this. This is the Nippon NS Pro Modus 115. All right, it's the 115. It's their 10th anniversary model. Now, what makes that so special? Well, 115s don't exist in an iron shaft right this very minute. They will, but they don't right now. And the 115 is coming out, but what you saw there, it looked like a copper coating. From the guys here in Illinois, called it the black velvet. I'm not so certain why, but they said it was a more durable finish than their traditional black, which I have in my set. And we'll see. It's more of a copper colorish. You can see it. That's pretty much a good representation of the color right there. And an X-Flex. So this is something else. And we soft step them once. So if your club makers out there, if you're soft stepping it once, it's basically a third of a flex down. So if these things run at the top, at the top of the S, beginning of the X-Flex, it should bring it down into the stiff range. And I could probably handle that. So the real question is, did I? Well, let's see. Here's my 6-iron shots right there. And, 180, right? And I had a couple, if you look at the landing area at that, it's okay. I was about I carried a few into the 180-ish. And I'm thinking, for a traditional lofted players club, that I did pretty good with that. So the real question is what I do with the rest, right? Well, right here, the 4-iron, I got into 190 to 200, and that was on average. I actually tagged a couple about 205, and they ran out a little bit further. So I was really happy with that. The 6-iron, the 180 to 183, that's pretty good number. This 9.9 average is a little low, and I left it like that on purpose. If I would have taken just the one out, it'd be closer to 145. And I'm still okay with that. But the cool thing is I hit them almost equally the same. If you look at the smash factor, the 130, 135, 132, that's those are pretty good hits. The 9-iron is really good because it should be much lower. I'm just found the middle of the club face, and pretty straight as the lateral would show you, and not too bad for the 6. The 4-iron I pulled pretty good. All right, the 4-iron I pulled pretty good, and you get to see the swing speed going up. So all in all, hit him pretty good, right? I had to choke down because I made them a half an inch long, and I ended up bending them upward for him. But I didn't do any of that while I was hitting this, and this is how they landed. So we got the 9-iron. You remember I was telling you about the short one that was right here to the left? All the rest of them up here. The 6-iron was really tight. That was really good. The 4-iron was kind of all over the map, but I was just really happy with the fact that I actually made contact. I was really kind of scared on that one, but it just, gives me an opportunity to think outside the box now on maybe a driving iron or something along that lines. If I'm struggling maybe with another club. However, left-handeds are kind of hard to get a hold of. So although Wilson's coming out with a left-handed one in the middle, so maybe that will be the trick. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of show you guys that I'm not doing a video on that build. I wanted to show you and kind of throw a little bit of love towards the Wilson because I just really like that iron. It's got a radius sole. It's got a nice curved top on the leading on the leading edge, but on the top line and on the toe section. I just think that iron, as far as design principles, checks all the boxes. All right, checks all the boxes. And when you make it just a little bit stronger, you're not too far away from a bunch of distance clubs. So, if you're a guy that can control the ball, but you're just looking for distance, you could probably jack the loft on these maybe a degree or two and be really happy with the way things are with that. So that's what I want to get across. All right, now on to the next piece. The next piece is there is a video coming. So again, on this guy, like and subscribe, and that way you'll get to see you'll get notifications, okay? But tomorrow is going to be about this guy. Okay, the Titleist 905R. And this guy, look, it still has the sticker on the toe end of it. I mean, who has that, right? And that thing came in great shape. It almost looked brand spanking new. And it had a V2 in it, which was pretty common in that era. And we ended up putting a grapholoid blue and regular in it. So I go through the process of taking it apart and then putting it back together. So there's another bore through for you guys to take a look at. And the way that I finished it is way different than I've done in the past because you see that grain that's right there? All this grain over here by the back end where that weight's at, it is original. All right, I didn't touch any of that and blended it into the back end. So honestly, I'm kind of proud of that one. That turned out, I'm really happy with that one. So it turned out pretty good. Alrighty, so there's the soapbox. So we talked about liking and subscribing. We talked about the divot tools. We got some hats if you're interested. We talked about the Ryder Cup winners. We talked about the Wilson CBs. We talked about the video upcoming. I think we pretty much got all about that. Oh, I do want to tell you about this one was pretty neat. Did a fitting for a family of 3 this weekend. A family of 3. And it was a dad and 2 sons of 18 and 20. And the dad had been playing a while. The 20-year-old had played some, and the 18 was starting to get into it. And the 18-year-old had a truckload of athletic talent, I think. And it's funny when the one thing is when dad teaches kids, or dad teaches kids, and we expect these completely different irons or drivers or something to show up. but they have the same swing characteristics. And I can just see, they were a couple of them were shorter. The youngest one was taller and lankier. And it was just a matter of correcting a few swing issues in order to get into the middle of the ball. And then it was a matter of matching. So dad started out, and if we use dad as the baseline, the older son ended up with the same driver but a different shaft, and the younger one ended up with the same irons with a different shaft, and then they kind of floated all over the place after that. But it was very, very similar in stuff. So at the end, I had to kind of explain, I hope you guys don't think that I'm just throwing the same thing underneath of you because it's easier, I have a whole bunch, which I don't. But we talked about swing characteristics in order to make it happen. All righty, so there's my fitting issue for the day. So let's go to the comments. Woohoo! To the top. Here we go. Mr. David, how are you, sir? Hope you are well. Congrats, Team USA. Yep, got thumped. No excuses. Kepka, yeah, they did. I didn't get to see it, but I heard, that was a big thing. That was a big press. They hugged it out. Yeah, they said they were done with it. And I'm glad. I'm glad to see that happen. Get rid of that. You don't need strife. All righty. Another question. How do you deal with a customer who insists that he's telling you they need an S or an X, and in reality probably need an L or an A? Well, that does happen. So what normally happens in that case, David, is that the proof is in the pudding. All right. When during the fitting, you should have rock solid data, right? Rock solid data, and let them hit the X or the S, and then let them hit the L or the A. But don't tell them what you're handing. Just say, hey, this is what you asked for, and do it 2 or 3 times, because golfers, we are a different breed. And this has happened to me where I've had the club that I would have bet my game on that was the perfect one, but the golfer did not like it and put the absolute worst swings on it just to prove a point. And then I gave him the one that he wanted, which was totally off base, and made the world's best swings just to prove the point. Yeah, I had video though, and I was taking video of it, and the dude looked like he was flapping and flailing with a whip on the first one and looked like he'd been on the tour for 20 years on the second one. I said, that's on you, dude. Now give me some of the same swings. And oh, okay. But anyway, David, the rock solid data, right? Don't tell them what you're giving them, just tell them to hit it. And the data should pan it out. And if the golfer's truly interested in improving and it pans out, then there you go. And there's been, I've been very, very direct with people and go, you don't swing like that anymore. You don't live in that world anymore. You do not need that anymore, and go from there. Now, if that person's on the cusp, you can say, I do not recommend that particular shaft. If you want it, it's on you, and then let them make the decision. All right. David's all over today. When building a set of irons and wedges, do you keep trimming to increase stiffness through the wedges, keep the wedges the same, or make them a little softer, i.e. 8 and 9? David, it changes. So I think when you're talking about in the iron set, right? When we're talking the iron set, so 6, 7, 8, 9, pitching wedge and gap wedge or attack wedge, depending on the maker, I will trim one little bit extra for the pitching wedge and then not into the gap wedge. Then when I get into the sand wedge and the lob wedge, I use wedge shafts, which is a totally different animal. And I do that because in 99 cases, the full swing clubs are the gap wedge and the pitching wedge. And so I like them to feel and perform like the set, where the wedge, the sand wedge, lob wedge, are going to be finesse clubs, i.e. half swing, quarter swings, open shots, out of rough, and really funky places. And so they get built with a specific wedge for another specific purpose. So hopefully that helps. Jeffrey, what do we got here? Trying to clear up a question I had last week. Which fitting parameter, if any, most affects golfers' ability to achieve proper low point in the irons? Will help eliminate fat shots. Oh, length. Length. All right. That right off the top. Length is consistency. Length gets you with length. You go through short irons, long irons in order to find the right length, and the length is when you get them hitting it in the same spot. Now, once you get them into the same spot, you might identify a reason why people are getting into a low point maybe too early because they're dropping a shoulder or they're kicking out a hip or something along that line, in which case it doesn't matter, right? They'll do it with a wedge, they'll do it with a 6-iron, they'll do it with a 4-iron, they'll do it with a driver. It doesn't matter at that point because that becomes a swing fault issue of which needs to be addressed. However, length. Then after that length, then lie angle, and then after lie angle, the total weight of the club. I think those three play a hugely important combination and to get particularly where you're at. Emmanuel, no problem, buddy. Anytime. This is fun. These are fun. All righty. Let's see what Matt's got. No rounds? What? Nobody will get soon. Hey, I was playing in your conditions, buddy. 45? Man. Except for wind wasn't blowing and it started getting warm pretty quick. I had a windbreaker that I was taking off and putting on in between shots as we were driving around. That was fun. All right. Duke, what's going on? 77. Hey, dude, I totally identify with the brain fart. My dad can testify. Oh my goodness. And the thing is, it just when I get those, it just blows me clean out of my loop, and I must look like, it's a Jekyll and Hyde thing. And I have to basically just sit there and hold my breath for about 13 seconds. Okay. All right. And just to get back, because I just lose my mind. There's Joe. Where'd you go this time, buddy? Or did they let you stay home? And good afternoon. Oh, I had some guys that were going to go up and play Westchester, and they said, "Have you ever played?" I said, "Heck yeah, I've been up there this year. I know a guy." And they're like, "Oh, all right." And I think it was another outing. I said, "Well, you'll be one of many up there." Oh, Robin's on. Woohoo! She made it on. All right. Oh yeah. I mean, could you believe that shot? I mean, they even did it was in the air so long they were able to do sky tracker of what it did. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That I just hope that catapults his confidence because he's one of those really creative players, and it's really fun to see him get out of jail. All righty. Look, Matt Robin's back. Yeah, here we go. What we got? C. Forbes, what's going on? Biltmore Forest Golf Club this past weekend. If you thought Caledonia greens were fast, these are like putting on hardwood. Oh, really? The Biltmore. Oh, yeah. Is that the one? Is that the one that's attached to the mansion up there, or is it further south? Sauce will be on its way soon. Awesome. Thank you, Cam. Did you get your swing thing figured out? Mr. Bartholomew. Yep. You know what? There was so much going on, Charles, and everybody else. There was just so many things going on, right? There were so many things, and it was. I guess I didn't get to see it, but I heard the radio guys talking about where the fans are starting to get kind of nasty, and the other team, the USA team, came out and asked them to tone that stuff down, And the fans did, and good for them, because I hate for them to be representing the U.S. in a particularly stupid fashion. And I for one, I like the Go USA, USA, because you're cheering your team on. I get that, but the Baba Louie and all that going, oh, yeah, I can do without that. But uh, but when you're rooting for a bad shot, you've crossed the line, and you're not needed. And I'm glad that they addressed it and they took care of it. And Sergio doing well. How about Ian Poulter? Ian Poulter got his full point. The dude just keeps going, doesn't he? He just keeps going. And he needs to figure out how to bottle that up and take it with him and get it back onto the tour. Dick, Duke, you know what? What they really need to do is make this like an eraser body so that you can just kind of do like that, and then you can sharpen the pencil. You're not far off. Oh, look at this. Mrs. McGolf is answering questions or talking to you guys from the aquarium at, was it Pigeon Forge? There you go. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guarantee it. That's going to happen. That's right. No time limit. Well, we went pretty far last week, though. We went into about 15, 20 minutes, so that's not too bad. All righty. Mike Jacobs, what do you say, sir? My Alta CB stiff driver shaft for my Ping G4 Plus. How much weight is in the shaft to make it counterbalanced? Also, how far up the shaft is the weight? Thanks. Okay, this is a good question. So, we'll use this. And this is another, I wanted to get into this discussion anyway, about this club. Anyway, so you got a shaft. Okay, you got a shaft. And they say it's counterbalanced. So does that mean that they physically went and they put more weight right here so it does that? The answer is no. No, they did not. So what they did is they moved the balance point of the shaft closer towards the butt so that it balances more towards the grip. Okay, so what they did is in that same 55 grams, so if you had a same 55 gram shaft or a CB 55 gram shaft, the difference is where they put the balance point. So for instance, let's just say this is the balance point for the shaft standard, that it might be up another 2 or 3 inches into the back. All right, it's not totally into the butt of the club, it's more towards the butt side of the club. I guess that's the best way to put it. And that's what they did. So that's what it's for, right? And traditionally that's how they would move that weight. They didn't add any extra, they just moved it around. And I wouldn't say that if they moved the balance point, they probably shifted because the club is just so light, it's 55 grams and you're on a fulcrum. Probably didn't move maybe but a handful of grams to move it. But to the point, it truly is counterbalanced. Hopefully that helps, Mike. Yeah, I'll take it. I've been trying to do that. On a regular basis. What happened, and I know that I'm more talking about clubs and stuff, but again, I told you guys I got a lesson from a guy named Mike Malaska. He's in Arizona. He's also on YouTube. So if you guys get on YouTube and you talk to him, tell him I sent you. But we did a lesson over the video because of the COVID, and I thought it was really kind of cool because we were able to. I used this setup in order to be able to show him what I was doing, and then he was able to explain it back. Now, I've been applying those techniques, and ball striking got better. Well, just like in everything else, it started going the other way, and I was wondering what is going on. Well, he happened to put out a video about how you address the ball in order to make a turn. I said, there's exactly, because that's what I've been fighting, is not being able to truly get turned through the ball. Now, I'm a big guy, right? And that's a problem as well. But And what it was is allowing me to lay my lead hand down with the club and then bring in the other club in behind it. And it made me feel like I was standing taller, which I tell everybody when we do these fittings. So I started doing that. I started able to turn a little bit better. Pardon me. And I was able to get to the center of the club. And all of a sudden, the ball started flying further and straighter. All of a sudden, I'm just hitting things like crazy. And I was like, oh. So now all I had to do was stay relaxed. And I know you guys chasing around. The first half, I was like, oh, yeah, this is working out pretty good. About 2 holes into it, yeah, it's working out pretty good. And then the wheels come off. And all of a sudden, just tight. And then, no. And then I had to get untight. And then I got my brain back out of my butt. And then we were good to go. All righty. Mr. Paul, what are we doing? Oh, right. Playing golf with no pain. I believe I've perfected the pull wedge. Well, hopefully we can get that taken care of. Well done. I like the idea with no pain. That's far more important, buddy. Far more important. All right. Danny, that's exactly what I was thinking when you mentioned how much was in your glass. You know what? You're right. After taking a few right there, right? And what that is you got these molds for that makes a golf ball size ice cube. And today, once Miss McGolf is gone, so I put this together really quick, and then started throwing the dinner in the oven and taking care of the dogs and all these other things. Well, that melted, and pretty soon this is where I started with, and now it looks like I've drank half a glass. Truly not the case, but it is quite watered down. So there you go. Glenn Levitt. All righty. So far, so good, she's telling me. Scrunchy, what do we say, buddy? Finally, pleasant weather in Joshua. Nice. All right, I think we all do. I was just out. I mean, today is like the perfect fall day, right? 70, 80 degrees, no, just a small breeze, no humidity. I mean, this is golf weather. Golf weather. All right. Yeah. I still have to catch up to you, Matt, but we're working on it. All righty. From New Jersey, have you heard of a golf ball shortage? Your thoughts? You are not the first person to tell me that. All right. You're not the first person. I've not seen it, but there's hints out there. There are hints out there. So, and I don't want to cause a panic, but if you guys plan on playing a little bit of golf in the next, say, 3 to 4 months, I would, and you have a particular golf ball that you're fond of, I'd probably go get about 3 or 4 dozen. Now, is that perpetuated by anything that I know? No. It's just stuff that I'm hearing. Okay, stuff that I'm hearing. In that I'm hearing a lot about, the rubber might not make it in, and because a lot of golf balls are made here in the U.S. Okay, so what it becomes is a supply thing. And when the supply dries up, just like it did for steel, just like it did for the grips, just like it did for the heads, it's finding its way through the golf industry, and we ran into it with golf bags, right? Sun Mountain was way behind, and they're just now catching up. And that had to do with just being able to get the material from the suppliers. And that's what's going on now. Now, what I would think is the most popular model in each one of the manufacturers will be the ones that they concentrate on, assuming that they get the right materials. The ones that are less popular will probably fall off, and those are the ones that you'll see disappear. Now, as we all know, if you guys watched any of these videos, different durometers, different consistencies, different ways there are things that are being made, even the covers have different materials. And if you miss just one, you're not making a golf ball. So it may not even matter. But if you're planning on playing any real golf, I'd consider getting a couple dozen. Daniel Paxton, what do you say, sir? and on Facebook. Thank you for checking in. Got a chance to hit the CBs last weekend. The field was phenomenal, even on 300Ss. Hey, you know what? Yeah, I don't know if there's a bad combo for that club. And the fact that it comes in a gap wedge. I am so happy that they come in a gap wedge. The gap wedge is it's become a righteous part of the irons because we need it to be, right? And most golfers, they go, oh, I need a 52-degree wedge. No, you need a gap wedge. And because it can take a half shot way better than a wedge. So that's where it's at. There's Steven. How are you, sir? Love the CBs. There you go. Can't wait to change the shafts. Oh, okay. We can do all that. All right. Scrunchy. My very best driving days of Age of the Dinosaurs, I used a EI-70 shaft. I know I know those. In a TS. What are your thoughts on going back to that shaft in a stiff flex? Well, if you're truly at the age when you were doing the driving at the age of the dinosaurs, probably going back to it unless you were like in a double X, probably not. And to find an EI-70, that's going to be kind of tough, right? The EI-70 hasn't been around for quite some time. I'd have to think about that one. There need more, Scrunchy. The idea is, if your swing speed can handle the stiff flex, then sure, right? But the EI-70 in a TS, you should be able to. You would think True Temper would have some. You could call up the customer service, assuming you were going to do that, and get a comparable shaft. But think about that a little bit more. Because True Temper's acquired a couple of shaft companies. I think they probably got one in their stable that is very similar to that and be able to go in. Is it working good? I was going to ask about that. I'm glad to see that it's working. The one that we made for you, that one right there is the one that's going to come in left-handed this year. I'm kind of thinking about that. And with the Nemesis, I do like that shaft as well. Sonny V, are you planning on hitting the PGA show in January? Well, I am. Whether or not Mrs. McGolf is another question. She's made it clear that she's getting kind of worn out on going there and just walking around 8 hours following me doing my stuff. But that'll probably be a last minute game call because we go down there and we enjoy seeing the cousins in Ocala. It's always fun to talk and catch up. So you just never know what'll happen. But I'm planning on it. I've already talked to that Sherry about my media credentials as well. So Charles, the D9 Forged, that's a good comparison. Now, the D9 Forged will be a stronger lofted iron. All right, the stronger lofted iron with I would say very similar blade length, maybe just a hair longer, but the true difference is in the sole. The D9 is going to have a wider sole. Although it's going to be radiused, it's just going to be a wider sole. And but it's going to have a very, very good look into it as well. If you're wanting to clip the dirt a little bit more, CBs, and then build them and bend them stronger. If you're okay with the sweep and you don't mind that, then I would just do the D9s. All right. Charles, no. We just got the medium, the medium to large. Oop, I went to the top again. Here we go. There's Al from the Space Coast. Nice. Knocking off 3 strokes on a handicap is no small feat, sir. Well done. Congratulations. Well done, as a matter of fact. Mr. Wiggins, how are you, sir? We are doing very, very well. Look at that family picture. Nicely done. Well done. I wish I could say the name of the hair. The ones that are on the website, I probably don't have them all up. So, just as a piece of self-promotion, we carry the Callaway, Wilson, Srixon, and Mizuno clubs. And we do deal with Wishon. And outside of that, we don't carry the other ones anymore. Now, can I touch some of them? Yeah, I can. But those are the ones that we truly carry and fit to. Steven. No. No, not. Now that, Steven, there's a difference on this one, whether or not it depends on how you use your wedges, okay? Just because they're no shorter, in fact, they're irons. Let's start over in English. The irons go in half-inch increments as they go all the way down, and they do that through the wedges. Then the wedges themselves, right, get 1/4 inch progressively shorter. So in essence, they might actually needed to be a little bit flatter than what would be called. However, what happens is when you get over top of a wedge, some people tend to really get over the ball. And if you're one of those guys, then yes. If you're taking what you would consider a normal stance, then no. We say, buddy. Seb. Hi, could you explain why fairway wood shafts are heavier than driver shafts? Sure. So, number one, I gotta have to show you. So, driver heads, hold on. I gotta do this. You like how I came back the same way I left? All right, driver heads. Driver heads weigh in the 195 to 205 range. All right, 195 to 205 range. That's important. The fairway woods, which aren't any bigger than something like that in some cases, go in about 214 to and up based on 3, 5, 7, 9. Pardon me, 3, 5, 7, and 9. And they keep getting progressively heavier. So it is very much a balance of the club, right? So that club doesn't feel super head heavy or super head light, right? You can go either way. Now what we're starting to see is, you can get sub 40 in these, 40, 50, 60, 70 grams. But in fairway woods, you can get maybe 50, 60, which is the most common anymore, 70, and then 80. Okay. But it's mostly for balance. And there's a couple of companies out there, Acker being one, that makes a fairway wood shaft. And the fairway wood shaft profile is different because the head is smaller and heavier than this guy, so it has a different dynamic. And so they change the profile so that it feels and performs in the same fashion. Okay. But that's the reason why typically they're heavier. Joe, Detroit, New York. I do not envy you one drop in those two. All righty. Seb's got another question. What are we saying, buddy? 7-iron is at C8 and in the same model 7-iron D4. What could I expect to see in ball flight? Differences, strike, low point, etc. Oh, Seb. Number one, why are they so far off? Well, let's see. Lighter swing weight, you might actually end up pulling it a little bit. You might end up at the toe. And so we got to assume one or the other thing. Number one, C8 is what you like, and D4 is not, or D4 is what you like, and C8 is not. All right, because it's a little differently. So let's go through this explanation. This is going to take a bit. All right, so if you're a smoother swinger and your transition is easy and you're just a real fluid kind of guy, the C8, all right, that guy. The C8 is where you want to be. Now, if you're an aggressive guy and you're kind of strong and and your transition is like Nick Price, Zero with a golf club, right? Then that's the one that you want. Okay. So, so what would happen the other way? So if you're a guy that likes this one and you went to this one, you would lose the club in transition and your striking point would just be crazy bad. All right. And just because you're all over the map, the flights and everything's all over the map. Now, let's say you're that person and you get one of those. What's going to happen? Quite possibly a little slower in the swing speed, a little bit maybe, and you're going to hit a little bit lower, maybe a little bit behind it a few times until you get used to it. It's just going to feel real heavy. And when you hit one, it's going to feel like it went a mile, but maybe not nearly as many times as you would if it was C8. Seb, I hope that is where you got where you needed. Bluffton, South Carolina. John Jenkins, how are you, sir? Thank you for getting on there. If you got a question, hey. PT YouTube. There's something different. All right. Any recommendations for golf bag that's a little different? Something a little from the unusual makes like Callaway TaylorMade vessel bags look cool. You want something different from Callaway and TaylorMade? Oh, okay. Vessel Vessel does make a pretty cool bag. Well, Callaway and I don't know. Callaway and TaylorMade have their bags made by different folks. So I'm trying to think here. I do like Vessel though. Vessel, Sun Mountain, because you could probably custom order something. Because they do have if you're really looking for something different and a little bit off the beaten path, they have a leather collection. All right. And that leather collection, that's old school and it's really kind of neat. That would be something to look at. What was another one? It's the group that actually makes the staff bags. They make custom bags, and it might very well be Vessel, but there you can do one there. But that's about Sun Mountain, Vessel. Those are the ones, especially if you're going to go totally unusual. Oh, not in the Biltmore Estates, a few miles away. Started playing with the fate of success. Couldn't hit the new wood to save your life. What? You got too many changes going on now. You need a deep breath and get with one. Because the draw is where you need to be living, the way that you hit. Oh, the new woods. I wouldn't. If you're talking about fairway woods, Cam, I wouldn't necessarily get too excited about that because people struggle with that club. When you start getting your irons in line and your drivers all there, then those will tend to follow suit. Retired 43, Louisville. Nicely done from Louisville. There you go. I was just looking at Louisville golf on the internet last night, talking and seeing how they were doing. They make some left-handed hickories, man. So all you guys are left-handed hickories. At the aquarium, nicely done. All right. I've tried it, but I'm no good at it. I'm no good at it, and I'm super no good at it, but not for balance. There we go. What do we say? Any word on Callaway 2021 Apex MB raw release in the States? I saw they're available in Australia. Nobody has said anything about a raw MB just yet, but that would be in the expectations, right? In the 2-year cycle, we're going to see whatever's going to replace the Maverick, and then the whatever's going to they're forged, because they already came out with the tech, and that was it for that one. Can you guys hear that dog in the background? It's my little dog. She's whining like a banshee. All right, hold on a second. Okay. I don't know if you guys saw it or heard it, but that whining was killing me. All righty. Lay down, you. Lay down. But you know what? Callaway hasn't contacted me on much of anything, so it should be. We should be okay. I just reached out to John, and that leads me to that one. Man, you're a hell of a straight man. I'm doing a review on that guy. Okay, the Jaws full toe, right? Full toe, and it's got a. Speaking of raw, it's got a raw face. That discolorization is a raw face. Okay, and as you can tell, I was finding the middle. I like this club, and you know what? I've said it more than enough times. I am not a DG fan, and it's working. Right? I am not a DG fan, and it is working. So I'm good with that. So there you go. So which should come first, a putter lesson or a putter fitting? Oh, if you just got started and you're really in a funk, I would go with a lesson, because if the guy's giving you a lesson, he probably knows a little bit about the putter fitting aspect, and you probably get away with a little bit of both. Krister, saw another one of your swings, buddy. I hate to hear it's getting cold already. You guys will be going inside. Duke, my golf spy did a video on the potential ball supply issues because of chemical. Well, there you go. That could be it. Didn't you have a back issue? Starting, you might have a back issue. All right, got some TrackMan hours in last week. Hit some balls with a 9-iron. Would it be too wide or weak loft? All right, you had an average dynamic loft of 25 with a static loft 43. It means you're coming in steep on it, but the spin seems to be a little weak, and so you're cutting. There's a cutting across of it, I think. You need to stop. I made a mistake by opening the door, guys. Would it be wide or weak loft or strong loft? Depends on how you're hitting it. If you're hitting it higher or if you're hitting it too far, is what I'd be looking at. But I've seen your swing, and I'd almost think that you're trying to get her attention here. That you are that you're trapping the ball, but maybe not getting your wrist through. I'm sorry, my dog needs to go. All right, I can get in the i7 and eBay. I wouldn't want the shaft in a TS now. I would drop down to a stiff flex. Okay. All righty. Oh, look. I apologize completely, guys. With 6 minutes left to go, give me 1 second. It was either that or get a mess on the carpet. All righty. What we got here? My 7-iron had dynamics 22, spin rate of 5,800 launch. 73, lost 7 degrees of angle. Well, your dynamic loft and what you're saying don't need to be exactly the same, and they won't be, all right, because of where you might hit the ball. To have them the same, I don't know. You probably want a little bit less dynamic loft than the actual club, but that looks way better. I would think that maybe the 9 iron. It might be a length issue or even a lie issue, but I would look at, I'd check out the loft of it as well. All right, is it worth having 1 iron in the bag? Well, Hawes is as Lee Trevino once said, that only God can hit a 2 iron, so a 1 iron is right up in there. Now, I will say the 1 iron is being replaced by a driving iron, and the driving irons are becoming wildly popular with the group that can't hit a fairway wood. And why not? Okay. So, Jay, I know this is somewhat subjective, but what would you consider to be too light of a swing weight for a driver? And what would you consider too heavy? That's a pretty good one. Let's see what we got here. All right, one more. Sorry about that, guys, but that's what happens when Mrs. McGolf is not here. Got to take care of the pups. All right, so as far as light driver goes, we'd say the average is around a D0 anymore, and a super light that would get my attention would be in that C6 range, C6 C7 range, right? That would get my attention, and then something around D4. So about 4 points in either direction would be, once you get outside there, that would be too light. And again, with subjectiveness, right? Because a lot of that is being predicated by the weight of the head, the weight of the shaft, the weight of the grip, that kind of stuff, and how it balances out. I'd go, Krister, I would think 2. I would go with 2. That way you can make you can see a noted difference. 1 you may not see anything. No problem, bud. Anytime. Jay McFarland again. You're legally blind. Well, then you're the guy we need to take all that advice from. Yeah, the full toe, dude. I am normally when I do these reviews, it's like, yeah, I really like them, but are they going in the bag? No, not at all. And because they're no better than what I have. They're great clubs. They're just not any better. Well, I did that super hybrid review, and the super hybrid, it's in the bag. I hit it again last week, and it's a 4, and I was hitting it in places that I shouldn't be, and it was really nice. This one, I went out and I actually did testing out on the course. I put this in the bag, and I hit it from the kind of shots that are, back here, and then some of the shots are right here. I had to hit some knockdown shots. And even a couple of times, my dad even noticed it when I had to hit these low spinning. He says, man, that thing, it looked like it was going to take off forever. It was going to take off forever, and it didn't. And because it checked. So I'm still getting check. The only subjective question left, or real question left, is the raw finish truly raw? Okay. Nigel, what is going on, sir? From the UK. Really enjoying the vids and club making? Good. What is the concept benefit of the Acra ICWT and iron shafts? Was thinking switching to graphite from the Modus Pro 105s. So you're used to the FX. I'm glad to see you're in the woods. I do like the FX line. The ICWT is basically, that stands for iron constant weight taper. Okay, so it's a tapered shaft, and they're all constant weight. So from the shortest shaft to the longest shaft, they all weigh the same. That was made because, and it was made very much for the players. When they did steel shaft and they did taper, they became constant weight, and that was by the way that they were made. All right, and so they would go into it, you cut them, and you didn't have too much. The swing weights, I would have thought the swing weights would have been progressive, and they very well may be, but not by very much. But they're also in comparison, Nigel, you're going to find that the IWTs are going to be a little bit more stout. All right. They're going to be a little bit more. The Modus 105, and that's what I'm playing, will feel a little softer. Not by much, but a little softer. I've got them back here. Look here, let's see if I can make that go away. Boom. So all those right there, those are all them right there. And they got a 75, a 95, and I believe a 105. Yeah, somewhere in that area. And the 95 is the 100 series. The top end weight might be a bit much, but the next one down would be very, very well received. All right, Ping I2 since 1990s. Can you recommend a new set and technology? I need all the help I can get some days. Mike, Ping I2s. I don't think you can argue with the idea that Ping I2 was a great iron. No, I don't think ever. Now, the thing with Ping I2s, there's two things that they did, and they did very, very well. That thing had a truckload of offset, okay? And they also had very, very wide soles for them in the day. Not as wide as some are now, okay? So if you were looking for it, you wanted some of the same issues. You want something with a large amount of offset, which would be in the game improvement to super game improvement clubs. So from my perspective, with the stuff that I have, if you wanted to kind of get into a forge category, the Apex DCBs, deep cavity backs, those would certainly do the trick. In the Mizunos, it would be the hot metal. In the Strixons, quite possibly the ZX4s, right? And in Wilson, the D9s. All right, they're all very strong lofted clubs. They're all very much offsetted clubs, and they're all very forgiving clubs. Every last one of them. Now, of them all, I would think the DCB looks more like the traditional iron. The hot metal looks like a longer blade, but is a very good look. Same thing with the D9. The ZX4 is more of a, we'll call it a hollow body club. So it looks a little bit bigger, almost like a utility. And that's where I would look at. You have too much data, dude. Too much data. Howdy, checking in. Hey, shot 39 front on back. Just hey, I went 38 41, so not too bad. All righty, no problem, dude. Somebody's coming in to hit golf balls. All right, and Dimpled Sphere, look at that. He got us at the very end of it at 6:33, so we didn't have to go too far over, and we're at the very end of it. So again, to kind of recap, number one, like and subscribe. Number two, if you're interested in these guys, McGolf shop at roadrunner.com, and Mr. McGolf will take care of you. Number three, we have a video coming out tomorrow. It will be about the 905R and reshafting the Titleist, with a review of these guys coming down the pike very, very soon. All righty. And, again, if you guys are interested in golf clubs, if you can get fit, make sure that you enjoy some golf, right? Make sure you enjoy some golf, get fit. And as always, guys, let's see your scores. Go low.